Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and it's time for a long overdue review of my 2012 Kawasaki Ninja 650. This is the non-ABS model, and we'll get to that more in a little while because that's one of the reasons that I don't particularly care for this bike. But other than that, it's been a wonderful little bike for the year and a half that I've had it. You can see it's a little bit dirty there. I've been getting it out a bunch here in this beautiful warm weather. So for those of you who don't know, this is actually at the top level of what they call a beginner sport bike. It's not a super sport. You actually sit quite upright on it. It's very approachable, very easy to learn on, easy to ride. Certainly has plenty of power to get you in trouble, but not if you don't want it to. So it's quite warm today, so we're gonna just get out on the bike, do some riding and some talking. So I've been actually wanting to make this video for quite some time now, and this is try number 3 regarding proper microphone calibration. It's not easy to get your mics nailed down properly when you're riding the motorcycle because you're dealing with a few different things. You're dealing with the sound, trying to capture the sound of the bike, capture the sound of your voice, and also not have too much wind noise. So what I've heard is the ideal setup is to actually have a microphone placed under your seat capturing the sound of the motorcycle, and then one in your helmet here to capture your voice, obviously. But you just notice, I'm sure you can tell right now, I haven't had a chance to listen to this audio yet, but there's just a lot of wind noise. And part of it is because the one helmet that I have the GoPro attached to here is a particularly noisy helmet. It's one that's used for the snowmobiles. It's actually Nathan's helmet, if you've seen him on the channel before. So if this were something that I was going to do a little bit more regularly, then I would probably attach a GoPro to one of my quieter helmets, and maybe that would help with the wind noise a little bit. But I'm just going to ride around here, talk a little bit about my biking experience, ownership experience of this Ninja, kind of why I got into motorcycling in the first place. So it's always been something that I've been interested in for a while. I had a dirt bike back in high school, had a lot of fun with it, rode it on the road a bit. It was technically street legal. And one of my biggest hesitations for getting a bike is, oh, it's a death trap. Oh, you know, you're gonna get hit. People aren't gonna see you. It's gonna be a bad deal. And so I kind of heeded those warnings for a while, and there's still considerations that I have every time I ride. But finally I decided, you know what? Enough people do it. It's not a guaranteed death sentence. It seems like a ton of fun. It's an experience I want. And it'd be better to do it now and find out whether it's going to kill me or not when I don't have any dependents, no children, wife, things like that, versus, say, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, midlife crisis sort of deal, pick up a motorcycle that I don't know how to ride and get seriously hurt at that point in my life. That'd be a lot worse. So at the time, about a year and a half ago, last spring, 2019, I had a 1987 Porsche 924S. I had bought it cheap from a coworker. It wasn't really a car I planned on driving much, but I kind of bought it to help him out, as well as to just kind of, I don't know, felt like fun. Had money to burn. So, but I already had my 2001 Boxster S, and I was already driving the press vehicles, so I didn't really have much reason to have that Porsche around. It was beautiful, but it's kind of slow, wasn't super charismatic, so I could have sold it. But what I did is I ended up finding someone who was willing to trade this 2012 Ninja 650 with cash on top for that Porsche 924S. So I met the guy. Wasn't exactly the most confidence-inspiring seller. He showed up on the bike with his significant other on the back, neither of them wearing helmets, both of them in flip-flops and kind of casual summer gear. So that was it turned me off a little bit, but hey, You know, the bike seemed squared away. I had looked up what to kind of look for when buying a bike in general, and then one of these bikes specifically. And so I made the trade, came on back, and I had myself a beautiful 2012 Ninja 650. So I've put about 3,000 miles on this bike. I've ridden it on highway trips. I wonder if I duck down here, it might sound a little better. I don't know. I don't know what the camera angle is going to be like for you then. So I've ridden it on highway trips. I've ridden it around city, tons of back road blasts. And it's really a pretty, it's like I said, it's been a great learner bike. It's comfortable, it's tactile, power band is broad. So it's been a good bike to have. A few of the things that are sort of beckoning me toward a new bike are, one, the previous owner of this bike and me not really knowing how it was maintained. There have been a few things that have sort of made me concerned about its previous ownership experience, including me finding out that it had a patched rear tire. And you know, if you get a nail in your tire in your car, okay, throw a patch in it and then you can keep driving. But in a motorcycle tire, you've only got two small patches. There's two small connection points to the road, keeping you upright, going straight. Why would you want to risk having one of those go out with a patch? I know it's expensive to buy a new tire, especially if you just bought new tires, which was the case on this one. But come on, man, at least tell me that, at least for a safety thing. Even after I had signed the title and everything and given him his money, he could have been like, oh, by the way, the rear tire has a patch in it. I'm not sure if that bothers you or not. Then I could have been like, oh, yeah, no, that's not great. I'm going to get a new tire. That stinks, but thanks for letting me know. Instead, I rode this bike for over 1,000 miles on a 3+ hour one-way road trip. I mean, all these things at high speeds, this could have put me in danger, or at the least just made it inconvenient. So, ended up having to pay money to fix that. Was not a huge fan of the loud exhaust that was on here. It came with a Two Brothers carbon racing exhaust, and it was just way too loud for my taste. So I actually ended up putting the stock exhaust on the bike. Other than that, I really haven't done anything to it. I kind of like the stock look of most vehicles. I don't do too many mods. I did pick up a cheap cell phone mount here. I picked up a tank bag that's just universal, magnets to the gas tank, and then a tail bag as well, which I am not rocking today. I kind of don't like the feel of it behind me if I'm just running empty like this. But I'm really glad that I got into motorcycling. It's been a really enjoyable experience, and I really just appreciate the rawness of it. There's something about when you're out on the motorcycle, you have just so many fewer distractions than you do when you're in a car. Even if you have your phone right out in front of you here, you're not tempted to grab it and kind of like, I don't know, check your notifications or anything. There's a oneness between you and the vehicle. I mean, if I just kind of lean my body, the whole motorcycle leans with me, and my direction changes, and it's just a very satisfying experience. In terms of the bike itself, I'm not one to do a super accurate review of this motorcycle, just because I haven't ridden many bikes. So I can't really compare it and contrast it to other motorcycles in its class or else styles. So I can't really give it a proper comparison to other motorcycles. But I can tell you the things that I like and dislike. I haven't made my mind up about the power. It's in some ways too much power, and in other ways I could use more. I mean, when you get it up over 6,000-7,000 RPMs, it really pulls. And there's just something about the litheness of a motorcycle. I mean, you just really feel like you can zip and zoom and go way over the speed limit pretty much everywhere. That's what I mean by, like, it's almost too much power. Like, I could be just fine with a little 400 or KTM 390 or something like that, something with only like 40 horsepower. This has mid-60s or so. But in other ways, it'd be kind of nice to have just the raw, hold on for dear life sort of power that you can get in like leader bikes and above, where you're just like, oh my gosh, I mean, just like screaming up near 12,000 RPM sort of deal. But for me, I'm a pretty pragmatic person. I have a tough time spending money that isn't necessary. So there's something about having a smaller bike with lower insurance costs and running costs that appeals to me. So, you know, when kind of thinking about what bike might replace this, that's something that I'm taking into consideration. If I had to be honest though, it's a really good amount of power. Like I said, I've only experienced a few other bikes, one of which had much more power than this. But it's kind of cool that like in 6th gear, 4,000 RPM here, I can just roll into it and have plenty of power to accelerate. But if I were really going through some tight twisties, I would drop down to like 3rd here, so that when I come out of this corner, I'm already screaming. But the truth of the matter is that that's all super illegal. So I would like to have some sort of bike that I can really have fun with, really toss around and wring its neck without doing super legal speeds. Something that maybe just like, you know, ring it out through 1st, 2nd, 3rd gear, and I'm only doing like 70 or so rather than 100. So this is a really good usable amount of power, but I could see the appeal to having more or less. Another thing that's kind of weird about the Ninja 650 is the seating position. I mentioned earlier in the video it's an upright seating position, but it's not fully upright like a dirt bike or like a dual sport or something like a KTM Duke model, or even like the Kawasaki Zs, they're naked bikes, or Yamaha's MT series. But you're also not, you can't lay down on it comfortably either, because your arms are sort of up close to you then, and you're like, your weight's not on your arms, so you're kind of holding yourself up with your core, and you can't fully lay down on the tank. So it's kind of this weird in-between to me, which is why I'm kind of considering getting 2 bikes to replace this. One that's more comfortable for both me and a passenger, sits much more upright, got some knobby tires, I can take it off-road, something like a Suzuki V-Strom or Kawasaki Versys. But then I'd also like something that is super laid down and aggressive sport bike-like. So maybe like a KTM 390, RC 390, or I don't even think the R3 is aggressive enough. So maybe like an R6 or something like that. But the other thing that whatever I replace this bike with, I'm going to get one with ABS. So I haven't had any situations where I've put this bike down or had any accidents related to it not having ABS. But that's not why you get safety mechanisms. You don't buy a car with extra airbags and seatbelts because you plan on using them. You buy it for the what-ifs, the just in case, the bad scenarios. I mean, that's the whole idea of insurance. I'd like to get something with ABS. Not only does it make me feel more comfortable, but it sort of justifies the purchase of something else as well. Overall, though, I really shouldn't complain about the seating position much on the Ninja, though, because it really is comfortable for a good amount of time. Like I said, I've done good long stints on this bike. The seat's got a decent amount of plush, but it's hard for me to compare. I don't know if I'm just putting up with it or if it is actually decent, you know what I mean? Just don't have too much to compare to. I do know one of the other bikes I've spent a good amount of time on, the Zero SRF Premium. The seating position on that was not as comfortable as it is here on the Ninja. I felt like I was oddly hunched over trying to get to the handlebars. So the Ninja's pretty good. Another thing, along with my pragmatic sort of personality, is I like the idea of having a bike that's maximized for versatility and usability. So my next bike, I want to put a lot of storage on. I want to have both saddlebags and a top case, maybe even a tank bag. And I'll probably just buy used so that I can get all those things included in there. I find it much tougher to talk on the motorcycle than I do in the car. And part of it was probably just how I'm concentrating. But another part is I'm just enjoying it more. I'm just kind of at peace. I'm not really thinking about things. And another part is I do have a lot more to say about a car. I mean, I go out and do a 15-20 minute test drive, and I can talk the whole time just because there's so much to talk about. There's the interior, the exterior, the way it drives, the way it shifts, the way it steers. There's so much to talk about. And I'm sure there's a lot more to that with the motorcycle too, that I would kind of learn after more and more time and more experience on bikes. But for now, I'm kind of just like, I don't know, I'm just still taking it all in. Get a little bit of shade here so I don't have to hustle this too much. Oh. Alright, so that's it. My 2012 Kawasaki Ninja 650. If you guys are looking to see more motorcycle videos or motorcycle reviews or this kind of thing, definitely let me know. It's something that is pretty new to me, but something I wouldn't mind doing more of, especially once I get a more reliable microphone setup going. If you like this video, be sure to check out our other reviews. Hit that subscribe button, it helps us out a bunch. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.